moment, you'll hear James Stewart as the six-shooter, just one of the many fine programs brought to you Sundays on NBC. Later this evening, listen to the NBC Star Playhouse with one of your favorite stars. Hear Stroke of Fate and the story of what might have happened if fate had reversed historical facts. And be sure to keep tuned for the dramatic story of Last Man Out. It's a wonderful lineup of great programs, all of them heard only on NBC. James Stewart as the six-shooter. The man in the saddle is angular and long-legged. His skin is sun-dyed brown. The gun in his holster is gray steel and rainbow mother of pearl. Its handle unmarked. People call them both the six-shooter. The NBC Radio Network presents James Stewart as the six-shooter, a transcribed series of radio dramas based on the life of Britt Ponsett, the Texas plainsman who wandered through the Western Territories, leaving behind a trail of still-remembered legends.
"50-Yard Canyon," that's what folks called it. Probably there was another name, more official, written down on a map in the territorial capital, but the people around Smoke Falls, they just called it 50-Yard Canyon. You see, it was only 50 yards wide, someplace even narrower, but it was close to 35 miles long. And riding through it was sort of like riding between two giant slabs of granite, all polished and smooth the way a gravestone's fixed up. Except that these slabs were close to a half-mile high. Well, anyway, that's what we were coming into, Scar and me, following the trail east to Smoke Falls. We were just getting on toward daybreak, and the sky was kind of a oatmeal gray, heavy, wet, waiting for the sun to come up to stir some life into it. We rounded a sharp bend, and Scar flared his nostrils and slowed down to a walk. And, "What's the matter, boy? Come on. Come on. The canyon got a little wider up ahead, and the sides angled up somewhat gentler than usual. I saw some clumps of trees and some mesquite, but it was still too dark to see anything real plain. I got off Scar as fast as I could dive out of the saddle. What the Sam Hill? Now, who in the thunder are you shooting at?
I ain't particular, mister.
Well, I am. I couldn't make him out. He was just a shadow partway up the canyon wall, maybe 30, 40 feet. His gunfire gave me a pretty good notion where to aim. For a couple of minutes, everything was real quiet. I didn't stand to reason that I'd hit him with that shot. I hadn't. I inched my way across the floor of the canyon. I started up the side. The bullet nicked a rock right about a foot left of my face. He knew where I was, all right. But then I had a pretty good notion of his whereabouts, too. Well, a man's entitled to a lucky hit every once in a while, if he wasn't faking that yell. It seemed like there was only one way to find out. All right, drop it. Come on, drop it.
Okay.
The pistol slid out of his hand. His shirt sleeve was stained pink at the elbow. He twisted around and gave me a squint. Just then the sun swung up over the top of the canyon and spilled over the sides. Why, Art. Hey, Art Hamper.
Who'd you think you were? Holy mackerel, Britt. Well, I'll be doggone. You're just about the last person in the world I ever expect to bump into out here.
Yeah, well, you sure were expecting to bump into something.
Yeah.
What's the trouble, Art? Who are you gunning for?
Somebody's gunning for me.
Oh?
Clyde's dead, Britt.
Clyde? What?
He was shot yesterday morning. Shot in the back.
Well, you know who did it?
I know who the sheriff says did it. Me.
What, he thinks you killed your own brother?
Stepbrother. Clyde and me weren't real kin. But we was as close as if we did have the same blood.
Yeah. Well, speaking of blood, Art, that elbow of yours...
A bullet only grazed me. I'll tie my bandana around it.
No, you better let me give you a hand. Here, I'll tell you. Where'd the sheriff get the idea you had something to do with Clyde's being shot?
Well, it's kind of a roundabout story. You see, Pa died a couple of months ago.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, sure.
There. Yeah, well, that ought to take care of your arm for the time being.
Thanks. Well, in his will, Pa left things equal. Half to me and half to Clyde.
Uh-huh.
Folks got the idea that him being my father and not Clyde's, well, they thought I was kind of put out by Clyde's getting the same as me.
But you weren't.
Oh, of course not, Britt. I didn't have no complaint. Clyde was as close to Pa as I ever was. He was entitled to just as much.
Uh-huh. Well, how did Clyde happen to get shot, Art?
That's what I don't know. I just don't. I'd give anything in the world if I did.
Well, you said yesterday that...
Well, in the morning, about 7 o'clock, I was in the barn hitching up the buckboard. I heard somebody at the pump outside. I figured it was Clyde drawing a bucket of water, and then I heard the gun go off. I started for the door, but before I could get there, Clyde stumbled into the barn. He was holding on to his belly, and he fell forward into my arms. That's where he died, Britt. In my arms.
He didn't say anything?
Oh, he tried to talk, but the words just wouldn't come out. He tried to tell me who shot him, but just couldn't. I'll find out, though, Britt. Someday I'll find out and I'll get even.
I'll take it easy, Art.
Instead of blaming me, why ain't Sheriff Vale looking for the guilty man? Why ain't he going after the real killer?
Well, you're sure the sheriff does blame you?
Well, he arrested me yesterday afternoon.
Oh, I see.
Tried to take me into town, but I gave him the slip. Rode up into the canyon here.
Oh, well, now, you shouldn't have done that, Art. If you're innocent, you'll get a chance to prove it. Running away, that just makes you look guilty.
How could I prove anything dangling from the branch of a tree?
What are you talking about?
They was going to lynch me. George Crump and Sam Bitley and the other fellas were the sheriff, and he wasn't going to do nothing to stop him. He said hanging was better than I deserved. You don't know Sheriff Vale, Britt.
No, he must be new to Smoke Fall.
Well, he don't believe in wasting time with trials and juries. I wouldn't be the first man Vale's let the boys take care of.
I see.
That's why I had to get away. Oh, I knew I couldn't run too far before they'd catch up with me out here in this canyon.
Well, you are kind of boxed in.
Yeah, but I figured a day or so and the fellas had cooled down, listen to reason. Maybe they'd even pick up the real killer's trail by then.
Uh-huh.
I thought you was one of Vale's posse when I heard your horse. That's the reason I fired. I wasn't aiming to kill anybody, understand, Britt? I was just hoping to scare you off.
Uh-huh. Well, even so, it sort of seems like to me you stand a good chance of making things worse for yourself the way you've been acting. I'm not saying that a man has to sit tight and let himself get lynched, but it just...
What do you think I ought to do, Britt?
Well, I don't know. I'm riding into Smoke Falls. We could ride along together. If you give yourself up, that ought to be something in your favor.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. My horse is starting to go lame. I couldn't go much further anyhow, but tell you the truth, Britt, I'm scared.
You scared?
Well, they had a rope. George Crump was carrying it when the sheriff arrested me. And the way the fellas looked, their eyes half closed and their faces red, sort of like they had a fever. I ain't never been a coward, Britt, but I was scared.
Well, like you said, they'd probably cool off by now.
Well, if there was some way I could just be sure. Britt, maybe if you was to talk to him first.
Talk to him?
Well, before I give myself up, they must be following me. You're bound to run into them on your way into town.
Well, I suppose so.
Oh, they'd listen to you. They respect you, and they'd have to listen. Even Sheriff Vale must have heard about the six-shooter. You could tell him that I never had nothing against Clyde. You knew he was always friendly, even when we was kids.
Sure.
If you'd make the sheriff understand and the boys with him, well, then I'd feel better about going back into town. Britt, you ride on ahead. They can't be more than an hour or so away. Tell them I'll give myself up. Tell them to wait for me at Squirrel Rock. You know where that is, don't you?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, tell him I'll meet him there at noon.
I don't know, Art.
You don't think I'd run out on you, Britt? You don't think I'd do a thing like that?
No, but I...
Well, all right, then. Squirrel Rock at noon. That'll give my pony time to rest up. Afterwards, after I'm all straightened out with the sheriff, we'll find out who killed Clyde. You'll help me find out, won't you?
I'll help if I can, Art.
Thanks, Britt.
There's just one thing, though.
Yeah?
Now, suppose I don't meet up with the posse.
Well, you couldn't very well miss them here in the canyon.
No, maybe they've turned around. Maybe they've gone back.
Well, in any case, I'll be at Squirrel Rock at noon. If the posse ain't there, you wait for me just the same. I'll go into Smoke Falls with you.
All right, Art. All right. I guess you know what you're doing. All right. I'll be seeing you. It was about 10 o'clock in the morning when I passed Squirrel Rock. Not much later when I met up with the posse. Wasn't much of a posse, though, just 3 men. Full on the lead gave his pinto the spur and trot up ahead of the other 2. He's a good-sized man, big bone, solid, with a tangle of red hair and splotches of freckles across his face. And the way he wore his revolvers and rested his hand against the butt of one of them, you could tell who he was, too. Even if you didn't happen to notice the star on his vest.
Howdy.
Morning.
I'm Sheriff Vale from Smoke Falls.
Yeah, I've been expecting to run into you, Sheriff.
Oh?
My name's Ponset.
Britt Ponset?
It sure is. Well, how are you, Britt? What are you doing around here?
Oh, I'm just passing through, George.
Sheriff, ain't you never met up with the 6-shooter?
No, can't say as I have. Heard about him, though.
And this here's Sam Bitley, Britt.
Oh, yeah.
Howdy. You said something about expecting us, Ponset.
Yeah. Art Hemper thought you'd be heading up this canyon.
Hemper?
What were you... You mean you ran into Art, Britt?
Early this morning.
Oh, doggone it. That's who we're looking for.
Yeah, he told me.
Well, did he tell you why?
Sure. Yeah, his brother was killed yesterday. You wanted for murder.
And you knew all that? You just let him go scot-free?
Oh, what'd you expect me to do?
You could have brought him in, saved us the trouble.
Yeah.
I'm not a part of your posse, Sheriff. Besides, Art willing to give himself up.
Give himself up?
He says he didn't have anything to do with Clyde's death. The only reason he ran off is because you were talking about lynching him.
Say, Britt, how you gone loco?
You didn't actually believe him, Ponset.
Well, I've known Art for a good many years, Sheriff.
Well, looks like we know him a little better than you do.
Yeah, I saw it, Britt. The whole thing with my own eyes. I saw the murder.
Now, hold on, George. Now, you didn't see
I tell you, I saw it. I was riding past the Hemper Ranch, and Clyde and Art were out behind the barn. They didn't notice me. They were too busy arguing and shouting. Then Clyde turned and started to walk towards the house. When Art pulled out his gun and shot him in the back. Clyde didn't even have a chance to draw.
Well, is that the truth, George?
As true as anything in this world. Well, I swung around, and I headed into town to get the sheriff. And that's when Art spotted me. He got off a couple of shots, but I was out of range.
Well, the story he told me is entirely different.
Well, that shouldn't surprise you too much, Ponset.
No, I guess not. What happened when you arrested him, Sheriff?
Well, we didn't arrest him.
No, we didn't.
Why do you think we're out here looking for him?
I see.
But he took off before I could bring the sheriff back. We picked up his trail and followed him into the canyon here.
And as for anybody trying to lynch him, well, there'll be no lynch law in Smoke Falls while I'm sheriff.
Well, that's good, Sheriff.
Yes, sir. And besides, ain't no need in his case. Any jury in the territory will convict him on the evidence.
Why, of course.
Yeah, well, it sure sounds that way, doesn't it? Well, doggone it, I just don't know what to say, Sheriff.
Well, you want to blame for believing Art. You were a friend of his. Before he changed. You went around to see how mean he's got the last few months. Always picking on Clyde and making life miserable for him. As if it was Clyde's fault the old man left him everything.
Everything?
Well, sure. Ranch, cattle, the whole shebang.
The whole shebang.
Yes, sir. I guess Jake Hemper knew Art wasn't any good underneath. Guess that's why he picked Clyde to inherit. even though he wasn't a blood relative.
Well, you got to admit, there's one thing Art's good at.
Huh?
Lying. The way he fooled Britt Ponsett, he must be a pretty convincing liar. Well, you'll have to give him that much. Won't you, Britt?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give him that much.
We'll continue with James Stewart as the six-shooter in a moment, because I'd like to answer a question that so many of you have written in to ask. It's about our theme music on the show, and believe me, we like it too. It's called Highland Lament, but I'm sorry to say there's no way for you to obtain it to play in your own home. You see, all of our music has been recorded for broadcast only, and it simply isn't available in any form at your music store. But thanks for writing anyway. Your good letters are tremendously appreciated by all of us. Incidentally, while Jimmy Stewart is kept pretty busy with the six-shooter and his motion picture work, one of his happiest activities is keeping up with his twin daughters, Judy and Kelly, at home. There's a nice picture story of the Stewarts and their twins in the current issue of McCall's magazine. Now, Act 2 of The Six-Shooter, starring James Stewart as Britt Ponsett.
Well, there wasn't anything else I could do but just tell Sheriff Vale the whole cock and bull story just the way Art had given it to me. I felt like crawling in a prairie dog hole. Oh, not just because Art had made a fool of me. It's more than that. We'd been pretty good friends once, all three of us. Art, Clyde, and me. Now, Clyde was dead, and sooner or later Art would be brought in for killing him. If I wasn't so doggone gullible, it might have been a lot sooner.
Squirrel Rock, eh? It's only 3 or 4 miles. You must have come by it.
Yeah, that's where he said he'd give himself up.
Oh, is that so?
Well, if he told you to wait for him there, you can be darn sure it's the last place he'll be. He's probably still up at the end of the canyon, trying to find the pass you come through.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, sure.
Well, we better ride on ahead. You want to come with us, Ponsett?
No, I think I'll head back for town.
Well, suit yourself. I left a couple of the boys along the way in case Hemper gives us a slip and starts backtracking. You might tell him to keep the eyes open, that we haven't caught him yet.
Yeah.
All right, Sheriff.
Okay, George. Sam, come on, let's go.
All right. Come on, boy.
Well, that's what I intended to do. Just head straight for Smoke Falls, but somehow I found myself turning around. I took it real easy, and then when I came to Squirrel Rock, I couldn't help pulling up. Whoa, Scott, whoa. It was just about noon. The sun was square in the middle of the sky. There sure wasn't any sign of Art Hemper either. Not that I really thought he'd be there, not after what I'd found out from the sheriff. I'd never looked at that rock real close before. It was a lot bigger than most of the other boulders along the way, but that was about the only difference. I couldn't figure why folks got the name. It sure didn't look much like a squirrel to me. It was big, though. Wasn't any doubt about that. If it had been a couple of feet wider, it had blocked the whole canyon. And I remember thinking to myself, a man could hide almost anywhere around there real easy. The only trouble was I didn't think of it soon enough.
Right on time, Britt.
Yeah, so are you, Art.
You don't mind getting off your horse, do you?
Well, as a matter of fact, I'd just as soon not.
Well, you better do it anyway. Keep those arms stretched way up high.
Uh-huh. All right.
Now, you can unbuckle your gun belt, but use only one hand, your left one.
Okay.
Thanks.
I guess you know I ran into Sheriff Vale.
Sure. I told you would. Him and his boys come riding through here just a few minutes ago.
Didn't even stop, huh?
I must have figured I was up at the end of the canyon hunting the pass you come through.
Yeah. Art, George Crump says he saw you shoot Clyde.
Did, huh? Well, I didn't pick a very good time for it, did I?
You're not going to deny it again, huh?
You wouldn't believe me if I did. I already pressed my luck with you once today, Britt. I won't try it twice.
Why'd you kill him, Art? It wasn't Clyde's fault your father left him the property.
The ranch wasn't the real reason. I guess folks never will believe me, but that wasn't the cause.
Well, what was the cause, then?
I can't even put it in words. I reckon I hated Clyde. I reckon I always hated him, but I didn't know how much until they read the will, until I found out how Pa really felt towards me. You see, I never had no mother. She died when I was born.
No.
It wasn't very long after that Pa married again, and I had me a ready-made family. Oh, she wasn't like one of them stepmothers you read about in stories. She always tried to be fair and honest. Maybe that was it. Maybe she tried to be too fair.
Yeah, too fair.
Well, whenever I did something bad, never said a word to me. She waited till Pa come home and told him about it. I was his son, she said, and she didn't have no right to punish me. It was up to Pa to take down the razor strop and give me a whaling. Not that she was easy on Clyde. She wasn't. She saw to it that he told the line, but he belonged to her. He was her responsibility. He got plenty of whippings, too, but it was her that give it to him. I guess it don't sound very sensible, Britt, but there was times when I used to wish she'd care enough about me to, well, just slap me or give my ears a good boxing. But she never did. I was Pa's son.
Well, you couldn't blame Clyde for the way his mother acted toward you.
Oh, I didn't blame him. Not at first. I told myself we were even Stephen. He had a ma and I had a pa. That was fair enough. And whatever happened, I was Art Hemper. Britt, he wasn't even entitled to the same name, not by any rights. Once I asked Pa about that. I asked him why Clyde was calling himself Hemper. Real good tannin'. That's the answer I got.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it was. All the time I was growing up, all the time until she died. I was kind of happy when it happened. I thought maybe now it'd be me and Pa again. I thought her being out of the way would sort of push Clyde to one side. Things didn't work out like I figured. Clyde and Pa, they mourned together. They seemed to be closer than before. So I told myself all I had to do was wait. I was Pa's son. Everybody knows when a man dies, it's his son that inherits. All I had to do was to wait. And then it did die. And I found out I'd been living my whole life on lies. I'd convinced myself that when the chips were down, Clyde wouldn't matter anymore. Pa'd realize I was his son, his only son. And then the day they read his will, I knew that I hadn't had a ma and I hadn't had a pa either. Clyde had them both all the time. So I had to kill him. Maybe if he was dead, things would be different.
Art.
Just stay where you are, Ponce.
Now listen, Art. Now listen to me. I think I understand what you're trying to tell me. Some of it, anyhow. And maybe you weren't exactly responsible for what you did to Clyde, but you've got to give yourself up.
Give myself up! For the first time in my life, I've got a reason for living. There's nobody standing in my way, not anymore.
There's a posse standing in your way.
They're past us now. They've gone up the canyon. I can ride out the Smoke Falls Gap without them even knowing it.
Sheriff Vale's no fool, Art. He figured you might slip by him. That's why he left some men behind.
Well, they won't stop us, Britt.
Us?
Sure. You're taking me in town. I'm your prisoner. Of course, this gun of yours won't be loaded, but nobody's going to know that. And nobody's going to know I'm holding my own gun just inside my shirt. That nick you give me on the elbow is going to come in real handy. All right, Britt. Here's a 6-shooter. Not that it'll be much use to you now.
Art brought his pony up from behind the rock, and we started down the trail. In a way, I felt kind of sorry for him. But that didn't justify what he'd done. It didn't justify him getting loose and killing somebody else, maybe. We were getting close to the mouth of the canyon now, and trail kind of straightened out. I figured we ought to meet up with one of the sheriff's boys somewhere along about here. Be their last chance of stopping Art before we hit the flat country. I guess Art was figuring the same thing.
Hold your gun on me, Britt, like you were serious.
All right.
Don't try anything fancy.
We rode out for about 5 minutes more, and then I spotted him. Fellow leaning against the side of the canyon with a carbine across his arm. He must have been dozing, but when he heard us, he came awake fast, and the carbine swung around ready for business.
All right, hold up there. So you got him, huh?
Yeah, I got him.
Who are you, mister? I didn't see you with the posse.
My name's Ponsett, Britt Ponsett.
Oh, sure, the six-shooter. He give you any trouble, Mr. Ponsett?
No, not so far.
Where's the sheriff?
He's back a ways. He'll be coming along.
Well, maybe you ought to wait up here. We can all ride into town together.
The sheriff said Ponsett was to go on ahead.
Oh? That's so, Mr. Ponsett?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Well, I guess you can take care of him. You ain't gonna need no help. Not with that gun of yours. I hear it's about the fastest shooting six-gun ever been turned out.
Yeah. Say, maybe you'd like to take a look at it.
Wait a minute.
Here, catch.
Are you crazy, Mr. Ponsett, throwing your gun around like that? Why, if I wasn't covering Art there...
But you are covering him.
Huh?
Britt, I told you.
Look out,
I was
Ponsett!
already diving for the ground. Art fired through his shirt. The bullet slid across the back of Scar's neck. Art didn't get a second chance. The carbine slugs tore into his chest and knocked him off his horse. He just lay there. He was bleeding bad.
Britt.
Yeah?
There's something I got to tell you.
All right, go ahead.
Sorry I lied to you this morning. A man shouldn't lie. That's what my pa always said. And you were my best friend. Shouldn't have lied to you especially.
Well?
Besides, it didn't do me no good. It just goes to show you that lying don't pay. Pa used to whip me whenever I lied. I should have known better, Britt. I should have known that.
Well, if that don't take the cake.
What?
Not more than a minute ago, he tried to shoot you down. But now all he said was he was sorry he lied to you. What happens to a man like that, Mr. Ponsett?
Oh, I don't know. I just don't know.
The Six-Shooter is a transcribed NBC radio network production in association with Review Productions. It is based on a character created by Frank Burt, and it's written by him. Mr. Stewart may soon be seen in the Universal International picture, The Glenn Miller Story. Others in the cast were Shepard Mencken, Bill Johnstone, Frank Gerstle, and Howard McNear. Special music for this program was by Basil Adlam, and the entire production is under the direction of Jack Johnstone. All characters and incidents were fictitious, and any resemblance to actual characters or incidents is purely coincidental. This is Hal Gibney speaking. This is the NBC Radio Network. In a moment, you'll hear James Stewart as the Six-Shooter, just one of the many fine programs brought to you Sundays on NBC. Later this evening, listen to the NBC Star Playhouse with one of your favorite stars. Hear Stroke of Fate. Happened if fate had reversed historical facts. And be sure to keep tuned for the dramatic story of Last Man Out. It's a wonderful lineup of great programs, all of them heard only on NBC. James Stewart as the six-shooter. The man in the saddle is angular and long-legged. His skin is sun-dyed brown. The gun in his holster is gray steel and rainbow mother of pearl. Its handle unmarked. People call them both the six-shooter. The NBC Radio Network presents James Stewart as the six-shooter, a transcribed series of radio dramas based on the life of Britt Ponsett, the Texas plainsman who wandered through the Western Territories, leaving behind a trail of still-remembered legends.
The rain sure was coming down that afternoon in Petersville. It had started all of a sudden, too, just after I left Scar at the livery stable and headed up the main street toward Doc Early's office. Real cloudburst. The wind was from the north and strong enough so that the water was beating against the building slantwise. And the way the wheel ruts in the street were turning into puddles. The rain barrels were sloshing over the sides. Well, it was like the whole town had been pushed under a leaky sieve. The closest cover I could spot was the front porch of the Jackson Hotel. So that's better. For a minute I sort of shook myself off like a half-drowned pup. Then I noticed the young fellow standing beside me. I didn't recognize him, though, not at first.
Mr. Ponsett? You're Britt Ponsett, ain't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I wasn't sure till I saw your gun. I guess you don't remember me, Mr. Ponsett. Calvin Plummer.
Calvin Ponsett? Oh, I sure remember you, Cal. Say, you really sprung up, haven't you? Why, by George, you're taller than I am. How'd you manage to do so much growing so fast?
Oh, I wasn't so fast, Mr. Ponsett. Been 6 years since you were in Petersville.
6 years? Is that long?
Right after my 15th birthday, that's when you left.
6 years since I was here, huh? Let's see, that must make you right about 21 years old, huh?
Yes, sir.
21. Well, that's a man's age.
It's supposed to be. Too bad everybody doesn't realize it.
Well, sometimes it takes a while for people to get used to the fact that you've grown up.
I guess so.
How are your folks? Your Ma and Pa, how are they?
Didn't you know, Mr. Ponsett? Pa died last summer.
Oh, well, no, I hadn't heard that. I'm sorry, Cal. I'm awful sorry about that. He was a fine man.
Yeah. At least I thought so.
Well, everybody thought so. You know that.
Did they?
Well, what do you mean, Cal?
Nothing. Looks like it's letting up. You staying in town, Mr. Ponsett?
No, just overnight. I kind of twisted my hand while I was branding a calf the other day. Swelling wouldn't go down, so I thought maybe Doc Early ought to have a look at it. If he's still practicing here, is he?
Yeah, he's still here. I expect you've been moving around quite a bit, huh, Mr. Ponsett?
Oh, more than my share, I guess.
You ain't never been to a place called Elk Point, have you? Somewhere out in the New Mexico Territory?
Oh, yes. I was out there in Elk Point 2 winters ago, I think it was.
What kind of setup is a Quincy ranch? Would you mind telling me?
Quincy?
Yeah, it's supposed to be one of the biggest outfits in those parts.
You sure it's near Elk Point?
Well, ain't it?
Well, I don't know. I never heard of a Quincy ranch around there.
You certain, Mr. Ponsett?
Yeah. Of course, that doesn't mean that there isn't a...
Yeah, I know. Well, goodbye.
Say hello to your ma for me, Cal. She's all right, I trust.
Sure. She's fine.
I reckon your father was... Well, must have hit her pretty hard, huh?
He had a real fast recovery.
What?
10 months ain't very long to mourn, is it? Not even a year. Just 10 months. Bye, Mr. Ponce.
Well, Cal Plummer had done a lot more than just grow up since the last time I saw him. Strange way he was carrying on. I sure couldn't figure out what caused it. And that talk about his mother, like Cora and Ned Plummer, were just about as well suited as any two people I ever met up with. Well, you couldn't even think about one without thinking of the other. They must have been married on close to 35 years. Cal, he was their third child. He was the only one that lived. Gee, Ned sure thought the world of him. Petersville wouldn't be the same without Ned. Oh, rain had stopped now. It even started to warm up a little. And the mud puddles out in the street were giving off little whiffs of steam. So I went over to Doc Early's office. It was just around the corner from the hotel.
Britt, don't look like you've broke a thing. But it's a real bad sprain. No wonder you was even able to ride into town today.
Yeah, well, it wasn't any too comfortable, I'll tell you that much.
What you been doing for it?
Well, it wasn't much could do, Doc, out at the ranch, you know.
Yeah, well, some hot water nets and salts might be a little help. I'll put the kettle on and get it warming. It was so darn chilly during all that rain, I built me a little fire in the stove. It's a good thing that ain't your shooting hand, Britt.
Well, I haven't needed a shooting hand much lately.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
No, things look quiet enough around Petersville.
Yeah, they're quiet all right, considering that Sheriff Jay's out of town.
Oh?
Yeah, he had some business, took him over to the New Mexico territory. He's checking up on some fella there.
Oh. Well, that's kind of a coincidence.
What do you mean?
Well, I just ran into Cal Plummer on my way up to see you, and he was asking me about New Mexico.
That wasn't no coincidence, Britt.
What?
You see, the reason the sheriff went to Roswell, well, of course, officially he's picking up a prisoner, but the reason he went himself instead of sending somebody else is so he can do a little inquiring about Cal's new pa.
New pa?
Well, sure. Cora's married again. Didn't Cal tell you?
No, he didn't.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe he was just too ashamed to mention it.
Why, that doesn't seem possible. Cora Plummer remarried.
No, we was all mighty surprised. Nobody ever figured she'd look at another man, much less take a new husband, especially so soon after. Well, it was less than a year. Oliver Quincy, that's the fellow's name.
Quincy, huh? Well, when did it happen, Doc?
Oh, let's see, about a month ago. Maybe 5 weeks. 5 weeks and 3 days. And it's as plain as day he married her, because she's got a little money. Ned left her a pretty well fixed ranch and all them cattle.
Well, what about Cal?
Oh, he came in some money, too. Enough for a good start in life. And Cal's a hard worker. He'll get along. I feel kind of sorry for him, though. You know, he just worshipped his pa. And Cora getting hitched again, well, it was sort of like a slap in the face to him.
Yeah?
Sounds like that water's boiling. Yeah, that ought to be hot enough for you.
What kind of a man is this Oliver Quincy? Is that his name, Oliver?
Yeah, that's his name, all right. Oh, you know the type, Britt. Big fella, white hair, mustache, always smiling. Now, where'd I put them Epsom salt? Oh, here we are. A real four-flusher. That's what he is. You can spot him a mile off. Dresses like a dude, uses a lot of fancy words. Move that stuff. Now, just let me... There. Now, just stick your hand in here.
Right in here.
Ow! All the way, Britt, all the way. Heat's good for spring.
Holy smokes, that's hotter than a furnace, Doc.
Well, that's what draws out the poison. You'll get used to it in a minute or so.
It draws out the what?
He claims to have a big ranch somewhere near Elk Point. Cora says he's worth more than she is. Well, maybe he's got her convinced, but he ain't fooling nobody else.
Gee, that's hot. It could be the truth.
If he's so well off, why are they living on Cora's property? Just answer me that, then.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Guess that water's cooling off. Maybe I ought to pour in some fresh.
No. That water's fine, Doc. That's just fine. It doesn't need to be a bit hotter. And the hand's feeling better already.
Yeah, well, you leave it in a little while longer anyhow.
Well, it's feeling better. All right.
I reckon even Cora will get her eyes opened up when Sheriff Jay comes back from New Mexico. He'll have the truth about Oliver Quincy. Of course, it's going to hurt her some. A woman don't like the idea of finding out she's made a fool of herself. But it'll be better for her to find it out now than later.
Well, I just don't see how this concerns the sheriff, Doc.
Man who tells a widow woman a batch of lies and finagles around so as he can get control of her property, that concerns the sheriff, don't it? Fella who do that, he might do a lot worse, Britt. He might do a whole lot worse. You just mark my word. All right, let's have a look at that hand of yours.
Oh, sure, here. What?
Oh, now, don't let the redness worry you. You ain't scalded. Swelling has gone down a mite. Well, I'll just wrap it up real tight, and in a day or so it'll be good as new. Swear I don't know how I'd get along without Epsom salts. Seems like they're a remedy for almost everything. Put old Lady Murdoch on 'em last year when her liver was acting up. 4 or 5 doses, and she ain't had a bit of trouble since. Why, she was even at the barn dance last Saturday carrying on like she didn't have no liver at all. Now, if you'll just hold out your hand, Brett.
After Doc Early got through with his bandaging, my hand did feel a little better. At least some of the throbbing seemed to go away. So I left his office and I wandered over to the hotel. By the time I got there, they were serving supper in the dining room. Not family style either. They had a real fancy layout. Separate tables with flowers on them. 2 waitresses wearing little checkered aprons sort of matched the tablecloths. Of course, when a place is all fixed up like that, they always make it up on you. Well, you can figure on paying a little extra for your food when they have a place. Now, for instance, the steak I ordered, it was going to cost 35 cents. That's what it said on the menu, 35 cents.
Well, here you are, mister.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, looks like you're going to have trouble cutting it. What's wrong with your hand?
It's nothing serious. It's just a sprain. I guess maybe I should have ordered something I could spoon through.
Want me to slice up the meat for you?
No, I'll manage. I just get this thumb out of here. Yeah. I'll be all right.
Well, if you want anything, just holler.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, miss. I don't know why they give me the toughest steak in the whole kitchen. For 35 cents, you'd think you'd get a better...
Howdy, Britt.
Oh, Doc. Were you eating here, too, tonight?
No, Britt, I was looking for you.
For me? What?
Cal Plummer just come riding into town, says his ma's been shot.
Been shot? Cora?
That's what Cal says. He don't think it's too serious, but I'm going out the ranch now and see what I can do for her.
Oh, of course, sure.
Cal told me to bring you along.
Me? What for?
I don't know. He just told me to find you if I could and bring you.
He did, huh? That's funny.
Well, Britt, you coming or not?
Well, I sure don't see where I figure in this thing, but if Cal wants me,
sorry to drag you away from your supper.
Oh, that's all right, Doc. I'm afraid I was fighting a losing battle with that steak anyhow.
We'll return to James Stewart as the 6-shooter in just a moment. Every day, every one of us Americans has the satisfaction of knowing that right now we enjoy the highest standard of living in all history. And we've only begun, for it's a fact that our standard of living will rise still higher. And while we've made ourselves stronger economically, we've retained all of our basic freedoms. We work where we choose, we bargain collectively, contract our own affairs, and profit from our inventiveness and enterprise. That's the American economic system, and I'm for it. I'm sure you are, too. So let's keep things that way, friends, all of us. Now, Act 2 of The 6-Shooter, starring James Stewart as Britt Ponsett.
The Plummer Ranch was about half-hour ride east of Petersville. Real big outfit, too. Maybe, 50 square miles grazing land and all. The main ranch house just off the road was built to size. 2 stories tall with giant big windows facing out. I remember hearing folks tell how Ned Plummer had to send all the way up to Chicago to get glass big enough for those windows. There was a couple of lamps burning somewhere on the first floor. You could see the little lights spilling through the draperies. The rest of the place was dark. Whoa, Scar. Whoa. Oh, boy. Oh. And we left our horses in the yard, Doc and I. And he grabbed his satchel with the medical instruments, and we walked up to the carved mahogany door. The front door.
Just a minute. Yes? Oh, Doc Early.
Evening.
Just what can I do for you, Doctor?
Well, Cal said that Miss Plummer, that Miss Quincy, your wife, that she was hurt somehow.
Oh, I see. Well, it's nothing serious, just a scratch. My gun went off accidentally. A bullet grazed her shoulder. But Cora's perfectly all right now. Matter of fact, I think she's already gone to bed.
Is it, Oliver?
Sounds to me like she's still up.
Well, I guess I was mistaken.
Yeah.
Oliver?
It's a doctor, dear, and,
My name's Ponsett. Britt Ponsett.
Brett Ponsett?
That's right, Mr. Quincy.
Well, I suppose you might as well come in, Doctor. Mr. Ponsett.
How you go?
It's this way. I told him it was only a scratch, dear. But as long as Dr. Early rode way out here, I suppose he might as well have a look at you, just to be on the safe side.
Hello, Cora.
Britt. Why, what are you doing in Petersville? When did you get into town?
This afternoon. Didn't Cal tell you?
Well, no.
It must have slipped his mind.
Good evening, Cora. Let me see here.
Now, Doc, you shouldn't be troubling over me. I'm all right, really.
Well, of course you are, my dear. Of course you are. Bullet barely grazed his skin. I'm afraid the good doctor doesn't approve of my bandage.
No. It's perfectly satisfactory. At least it appears to be. I'd like to take it off, though. Make certain there's no danger of infection. You mind stepping in the other room, Cora?
Well,
Go ahead, my dear. Go ahead.
I'll see you before you leave, Britt.
Oh, sure. I'll wait around till the doc finishes up.
Nice of you to ride out Dr. Early, Mr. Ponsett. I imagine he appreciates having the company.
Well, it wasn't his idea, Mr. Quincy.
Oh?
No, Cal asked him to bring me along.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Mm-hmm. Well, I reckon that makes us even. Whereabouts is he, anyway?
Calvin? I don't know. He hasn't been here all evening.
He wasn't around when the shooting took place.
It was not a shooting, Mr. Ponsett. It was an accident.
Well, whatever it was.
And Calvin was not here. I met up with him while I was riding into town to get the doctor, and he offered to save me the trip.
Oh, I guess I was under the impression you said Cora didn't need a doctor.
No, she doesn't. But at first, I didn't know how serious the wound might be. Then, when I got back to the house, I saw it didn't amount to anything. And by the time you and Dr. Early showed up, I'd forgotten the whole thing. That's why I was surprised to see you. For a moment, I couldn't think what you wanted.
Your gun just happened to go off, huh?
I was going to clean it. I thought it was empty. I guess I don't know too much about firearms.
What make do you carry?
Why...
He doesn't carry any make, but I do.
I hadn't seen Cal come into the front hall, so I didn't know how long he'd been standing there. He was holding a .45, using it to cover his stepfather. The gun wasn't moving either. Cal's hand was as steady as his eyes. Steady and cold and determined. It wasn't the first time I'd seen a man with a look like that on his face. Now, not a killer's look exactly, at least not the look of somebody who wants to kill. More like somebody who hasn't got any choice.
I was wondering how you'd lie out of it, Quincy. What kind of story you'd tell. You weren't very convincing either, considering all the practice you've had.
Calvin, listen to me. I know how you feel.
You haven't got the slightest notion how I feel. If you did, you'd have left town like I told you a couple of hours ago.
Now, take it easy, Cal.
I gave him warning, Britt. I gave him fair warning. I said I'd kill him if he didn't get out and stay out for good.
I don't know what it is he's got against me, Mr. Ponsett. I suppose I don't measure up to his father.
Measure up to him? I ought to kill you for even comparing yourself. Well, are you going or not, Quincy? Because if you're not, this time Ma ain't here to get in the way.
What? Was that what happened before? Is that how she got shot up?
It was his fault. He's got her so mixed up she doesn't see anything straight. She thinks he's fond of her the way she is of him. When she saw the gun, she ran forward, yelling and screaming. The way she grabbed my hand, that's what made it go off. I never meant to fire. Least of all, I never meant to hit Ma.
But your ma's all right, Calvin. The bullet hardly touched her.
I don't believe... Is that true, Mr. Ponce?
That's right, Cal. Cora's fine. Doc Early's in there now, just making certain.
All right, Quincy. Start moving before she comes back.
Now, hold on. Hold on a minute here now. This isn't any way to settle things. He's your mother's husband. She's got a right to know what's going on.
You think I want her to know what a liar he is? That he never cared for? You think I want to break her heart?
Well, what are you talking about, Calvin? I never lied to Cora. Never in my life.
Then where's that big ranch you're supposed to own and all the money you're supposed to have?
What?
Tell Mr. Ponce about your holdings. He's been to Elk Point. And there ain't no Quincy Ranch.
Oh, you're not making any sense, Calvin.
I ain't going to stand around here arguing.
Put that away, Cal.
Not until he leaves. He gives me his word he won't be back. And if he don't keep his word...
Cal?
You don't figure in this, Mr. Ponce.
You got me out here. It was my idea.
Well, nobody's keeping you.
This bandage isn't on my gun hand, Cal.
He's got you fooled into being on his side, too.
I didn't say that.
Look, ain't there nobody that sees him for what he really is? All he's trying to do is to get his hands on what my father left. Dad worked hard. All his life he worked hard. And when he was dying, he told me to look after Ma. Told me it was my job. Well, I'm going to do my job, Mr. Ponce. And nobody's...
You made enough trouble for one night.
I'm sorry, Ma. Didn't want you to be here. Didn't want you to find out.
Find out what? My son's turned into a lunatic?
I'm only doing it for you, Ma.
For me? You think you're helping me by carrying on like this? I've got my own life to live, Calvin. You've got to let me live it as I see best.
Ma, he's no good. I was trying to get him to leave before Sheriff Jay comes back from Roswell. Before the whole thing came out. Well, I guess it's too late now. I guess you'll have to know.
Know what?
He hasn't got a ranch. He ain't got any money.
Oh.
If you don't believe me, ask Rip Ponce. He only married you because of what Pa left you.
No. All I said that I didn't know of any Quincy Ranch near Elk Point. That's all I said. I haven't been around there for a couple of years. Maybe by now.
Well, there ain't no such ranch now either. Is there, Quincy?
Well, no, of course not.
There you see, Ma.
Calvin, listen to me.
He's admitting it, Ma. Why don't you face facts? Everybody else has been on to him. Everybody but you.
It's all my fault. I should have told you in the first place. I know that Oliver isn't rich. I never thought he was.
You never thought... Ma?
Well, maybe Doc and I had better get rid of it, huh?
No, I'd like you to stay, Brent. Calvin is right about one thing, though. I've been making a fool of myself. What's worse, I've been making a fool of Oliver, too.
No, Cora.
You see, Calvin, I've known Oliver for a long time. Your father and I, well, we were all friends back in Kansas. All three of us. Of course, that was before I married your dad.
You've known each other all these years?
Once, Oliver asked me to marry him. But I chose your father. And I've never been sorry I made that choice. I guess you know that, Ollie.
Well, sure, Cora.
But after Ned died, well, it was like part of me had died, too. And I felt all hollow and useless, lonesome. Not a very romantic way of putting it. Lonesome, but that's how I felt. Like I couldn't go on by myself. Oh, you did your best, son, to keep me from thinking about your father and about myself. But it wasn't enough. And I kept remembering what your father said when he first took sick and he knew he wasn't going to get well. He said he'd take it as a compliment if I was to marry again, that it would mean our marriage had been a good one. But more than that, I think he knew I wasn't the kind to live alone.
Well,
So I wrote to Oliver, asked him to come out to Petersville just for a visit. And then, well, us getting married was my idea.
Your idea, Cora.
Ollie was afraid of what folks would think. Me having this ranch and him not worth very much. He's afraid they'd get the idea he was marrying me because of my money. So I told everybody that he had a ranch of his own, even bigger than mine.
Why, Cora.
Oh, I was just trying to make it easier on him, Britt, so he wouldn't be embarrassed, uncomfortable. Of course, Oliver didn't know what I was up to.
You shouldn't have done it, Cora.
I'm sorry, Ollie. But I'm not sorry I married you.
Oh, my.
You got to understand, Calvin. It's true. I'm an old lady and a foolish one. And it's true I don't feel the same way toward Oliver that I felt toward your father. You only feel that once in a lifetime. And some folks aren't even that lucky. But it's better for me not to be alone the time that's left. I think it's better for Oliver, too.
You should have told me, Ma.
Yes. Yes, I see that now. But I wasn't sure how you'd take it. Too bad you were dragged into this, Britt. You and Doc. But I wanted you to hear it all before you left.
Sure, Cora.
You knew Ned. You were a good friend of his. He thought a lot of you.
Oh, I sure hope so.
Oh, what would he think? How would he feel about my marrying again?
Oh, it's pretty hard to speak for somebody else, Cora. But Ned loved you. That was plain to everybody. So I guess he'd want you to be happy and content. That's what Ned would want.
Thanks, Britt.
Well, Doc, hey, it's about time we're getting back to town, isn't it? After that, I guess Cal and Oliver started hitting it off real well. Anyway, the last time I was through Petersville, folks were all talking about how much Oliver Quincy had done for the Plummer Ranch. Practically doubled the size of the herd, and now he was building a house down on the south pasture for Cal to live in when he got married. As for Sheriff Jay's story about Oliver not owning any property around Elk Point, well, the people just wouldn't believe that, that's all. The sheriff just hadn't enough checking, that's all. A man like Oliver Quincy, why, he just had to be rich. It was written all over him.
The Six Shooter is a transcribed NBC Radio Network production in association with Review Productions. It is based on a character created by Frank Burt and is written by him. Mr. Stewart may soon be seen in the Universal International picture, The Glenn Miller Story. Others in the cast were Virginia Gregg and Jean Tatum, Robert Griffin, Parley Bear, and Bert Holland. Special music for this program was by Basil Adlam, and the entire production is under the direction of Jack Johnstone. All characters and incidents were fictitious, and any resemblance to actual characters or incidents is purely coincidental. This is Hal Gibney speaking. Tonight, hear Margaret O'Brien in the NBC Star Playhouse on the NBC Radio Network.